Good afternoon, everyone. We're about to start. Can we please just close the door there at the back and here in front? The restrooms, I'm sure everyone was told that they are on your right as you come in. It's for female and males. And in case of emergency, we run here by the pool. Thank you very much. Good afternoon to our president of Mawusa, Comrade Robert Nwedo. I greet the former Secretary General of Umkhonto weSizwe Party, Comrade Floyd Shivambu. I greet the members of the media, comrades and fellow South Africans. This marks an official opening of the press conference. Thank you for being here during this important time in our nation, the Youth Month, when we honor Amaqhawe namaqhawekazi of 1976 generation, and we remember Kliptown of 1955, when the Freedom Charter was adopted. These moments remind us that the struggle of the prosperity of the African people is far from over. It is this spirit that we welcome a leader who has carried these struggles forward with boldness and strong values, the former Secretary General of Umkhonto weSizwe Party. A dedicated servant of the people, a sharp political mind, a strong voice for the poor, the youth, working class, and elderly. Comrade Floyd Shivambu is a leader who stands firm in what he believes, who works very hard to bring the real change, and he leads through action. A leader who has never been afraid to challenge injustice, no matter the cost. Comrade Shivambu, the nation has been waiting for this moment. Please come forward. Thank you.
No, I have to take off this cap because so that I can be seen properly and be much more visible. Not that. No, it's this cap, but it's a relevant. Thank you very much, Comrade Nolu Babalo Mkinga, who has volunteered to assist us in terms of this process, and want to also acknowledge the president of Manda Ashu Workers Union of South Africa, which I'm a volunteer of. I'm a volunteer of Mawusa, a union that organizes workers, community workers, and workers that are organized under the expanded public works program. And I want to also acknowledge the leadership that is here. I don't know if they must mention them by names. Former Treasurer General of Umkhonto weSizwe, Zuma is with us here. And we've got the Comrade Mahla, advisor of Umkhonto weSizwe. Musa Nobela, we've got the former provincial convener of Mpumalanga, who convened before elections pro causa. Not those who came after elections in terms of the work. And members of the media and the people of South Africa, we send our revolutionary greetings to all the people of South Africa and black people in the African continent and in the African diaspora. We have called this press conference to speak about some of the recent political developments as it relates to the roles that we're playing in Umkhonto Sizwe that on the 3rd of June 2025, the leadership of Umkhonto Sizwe, after national officials meeting, announced the discontinuation of my role as the Secretary General of Umkhonto Sizwe. And when the appointment or the announcement was made, there was an indication that will be redeployed to the National Assembly to form part of the parliamentary caucus of Umkhonto Sizwe. The principle established in the public announcement was that no leader and no member of Umkhonto Sizwe should speak about the reasons why the decision was taken. But it appears that there are those who are talking freely and in most instances almost distorting just what transpired. So, as a disciplined member of Umkhonto Sizwe, I want to put on record as to what were the reasons that were given in the national officials for my redeployment. The reason given in the national officials for my redeployment or removal as Secretary General was that I want to overthrow President Zuma as the president of Umkhonto Sizwe. That is what was said. That all the work that we were doing as Secretary General of establishing structures and identifying leaders was meant ultimately at the removal of President Zuma as president of Umkhonto Sizwe. And as part of that reasoning, an extremely bizarre and fake intelligence report was produced, which was claimed to be a conversation between me and some people in the African continent, where it is alleged that despite raising money to remove President Zuma, I'm also accumulating supernatural powers to make people disappear. That is the reason why we had to deal with superstitious issues as the basis of what happens, that there's apparently a head which I was going to be given to give to someone, and some people were going to die so that I can become president of Umkhonto Sizwe. That was the intelligence report which were rejected with contempt and said that that is absolute rubbish, and said that if anyone claims to have my WhatsApp conversations, I can hand over my phone. I even offered in the meeting that take my phone and check not only the messages that you claim were about the removal of President Zuma, also check any other message about anything that I communicate as a leader of Umkhonto Sizwe. Because there's a principle which I always uphold, that there is nothing that I do privately that I cannot own up publicly. Nothing, including personal relations. There's nothing that I will ever do privately which we cannot own up publicly. And we accepted the redeployment to parliament with those misgivings that we're going to make people disappear in order to take over the leadership of Umkhonto Sizwe. And in a subsequent meeting post that, another fake report was presented which claims to be WhatsApp conversations between me and someone else, where I'm reported to be saying that, yeah, I'm going to use parliament now to take over the party. And I've got money from Stellenbosch who are going to take over the party through parliament. They are taking me closer to where we're going to take power. And as a result, a decision was taken which was not yet communicated, that even this thing of parliament must not happen. In fact, the former Secretary General, which is myself, must be expelled from the organization. A letter was written and was put in the briefcase of the president, who said that he's going to dispatch it as and when he feels like to discontinue my membership of Umkhonto Sizwe. Those are actual facts in terms of the reason. And where does this come from? So the president of Umkhonto Sizwe, whom I dearly and so deeply respect, is surrounded by political scoundrels who opportunistically use his kindness, sometimes gullibility that comes with age, to write down fake intelligence report to influence him towards wrong directions. And the reason they do that is because they want to steal money from Mkhonto Sizwe. And they are doing so now. Withdrawal of not less than 7 million rand every month from the organizational coffers. That is what define, and that is what, and we're talking about this because we raised it internally that stop what you are doing, because you're going to get the party deregistered as a political party, because there's no sound reason on what has been happening, and it's things that we can prove beyond any reasonable doubt, not because it's things that we can change, and it's things that you cannot fake. And for that reason, when we raise every TG who has ever raised that got to be removed as the leadership of Mkhonto Sizwe. And there's no TG who has resigned as Mkhonto Sizwe. All of them were removed to then deal with scoundrels who surround President Zuma to steal money of the organization. I carried my responsibilities as a leader of Mkhonto Sizwe with utmost respect and respected everyone. Led with the collective the process of drafting the constitution and other foundational documents of the organization. Set up structures as part of a collective effort. Got to institutionalize the MK Women's League, the Youth League, the Students' Movement, the MK Interreligious Movement, which in the past used to exist as separate organizations of the South African Interfaith Religious Council, MK Religious Desk, Abelaphi Bendabuko, and various other organizations, interfaith, and then we got to unite them to have one organization. We got to even have to formalize the relations between Mkhonto Sizwe and the Progressive Civic Congress, and formalize the relationship with MK and MK professionals and MK medics. So there's a lot of commendable work which was done by MK medics, a group of medical doctors and health practitioners who were going to communities to offer healthcare services. And in the process of doing that, every day, the political scoundrels work endlessly to speak negatively about the work that we're doing. I was saying, actually, I said it in the national officials meeting, because we can't hold that meeting in private, even when people are talking now, that in December 2024, there was a statement written to remove me as a Secretary General on the basis that I'm about to announce a political party with Tokyo Sithole and Lindo Sisulu, whom I have never spoken to about anything. Draft statement, and was even shared with me, that remove him today because he is going to form a political party. And that is full-time work that is dedicated on everything that you do. When you sit down, it's a problem. When you stand up, it's a problem. When you go out, it's a problem. When you come in, it's a problem every day. Because those who surround him have got evil intentions in terms of what got to happen. I've got tremendous respect for President Zuma. I think that in the few close working relationship that we've got to maintain and work with now, I think I've learned more in the 6 months than I learned in the 10 years I was Deputy President of Mkhonto Sizwe, of the EFF. I learned more as a member of Mkhonto Sizwe than I learned as a Deputy President of the EFF. In terms of real politics and appreciation of both the domestic and the global politics much more thoroughly in terms of the issues. And under no circumstances would I ever fault President Zuma and his politics. I joined Mkhonto Sizwe because I thought that as part of the political historiography of South Africa, his politics and character should be protected, and a legacy built around his proper politics, not the ones of gullibility and producing of fake intelligence report. Since the decision to remove ourselves as Secretary General took place, there have been a lot of ordinary South Africans from all corners of the country. There have been a lot of comrades who came from Mkhonto Wesizwe, from the ANC, from the EFF, to say, what then do we do moving forward? Because I did explain to them what were the developments. And a substantial number of those said that don't ever try to join the ANC, and I fully agree with them. That will never join the ANC. It's directionless, it doesn't know what it's doing, it's in collaboration with the white system now. And there are those who said, don't ever join or rejoin the economic freedom fighters because it's a cult. And I agree with them. There is no space for sound ideological reasoning, and there's no self-respecting person who can join both the ANC and the EFF. I agree with that fully. And there are those who said that there's fundamental weaknesses with Mkhonto Wesizwe, that the organization seems to be run by a family and seems to be inconsistent on issues of discipline, seems to be directionless and sometimes takes conservative and reactionary positions. I say that part of the reasons why we joined Mkhonto is we could observe from far that we can't allow in South Africa a political organization that can become a tribalist and regional organization with such influence. Instead of throwing insults at MK, we have to play a role in contributing to its ideological character and politics and direction. And I think that we did successfully in terms of what happened. Now, these several observations about the organization of Mkhonto Wesizwe. Some are correct, some I will reserve my observations on because I can't abuse the fact that I occupied a very senior role and had access to almost every development that happens there. But those who want to hear my views privately, we can speak about that, but I will never abuse the fact that there's a role that we played. I did that when I left the EFF, that I said I will never speak bad about the EFF when I was MK, and I never did. And I will never speak bad about the MK. I will never demonize its perspective. But also of those who came, there are those who said that we should form a political party or a political movement to contest the 2026 and 2029 elections. My view about the formation of a political party is that a political party must never be founded by an individual. My prompt response to the first number of people who came was that let us not form a political party, let us fight within the existing political parties. But that if we were to form a political party, let us go to the people of South Africa and ask them if they want to have a political party. We can't form a political party as a group of friends and as few individuals. So a political party should never be an individual project where you feel like, no, I want to start a political party and then you start it. It must never be a family project. It's very dangerous to have political parties which are family run. A political party must not be a tribal or ethnic project. In South Africa of today, a political party must not be regional, must not even be a provincial party. A political party must not be a platform for self-enrichment. It must not be a fiefdom. It must not be a cult. If anything, a political party should be a fighting instrument and vehicle for the people of South Africa, must deeply espouse the principles of democracy and democratic consultations in terms of how decisions are taken, must be transparent and must be accountable in the work that it does. So to the comrades that came to say, let us form a political party, we said that we can't take that decision. Let us subject that process to the people of South Africa. So we're here today to announce that we're going to be convening the process of consulting the people of South Africa on the formation of a political movement that will be a true representative of the people of South Africa, and not a personal project, and not a group of friends project, not a cult, and not a fiefdom. So over the next few months, we will be consulting all the traditional leaders, we will be consulting all the church leaders, religious leaders in different institutions. We will be seeking the views and opinions of all the manifestations of the Zion Christian Church, of the Nazareth Baptist Church, of the IPCC, of the 12 Apostle Church in Christ, of the 12 Apostle Church in Trinity, of the Bantu Church of Christ, and all the charismatic churches. We will be seeking opinions as well of prominent leaders of society and the people that we have access to. Pastors Matebula, Pastor Bishop, Archbishop Zondo, Malumani Musasono, Giet Kosa, Pastor Bishop Don Phillips. We will be seeking the wisdom of prominent South Africans, inclusive of Dr. Ivan Koza, of Dr. Patrice Mutsipi, of Dr. Keza Mtaung, of Dr. Michael Nkuna. We will be seeking opinions of different sectors of society as to, is there a need to form a political party? That is the first question that we're going to ask. That if yes, what should be the values and principles of that political party? And what should distinguish that political party from the existing political parties? So those are the questions that we're going to be asking. We're also going to ask as to how should that political party be funded? So those are the questions that we're going to be asking different communities and constituencies across South Africa. It's not the first time that I'm engaged in a process similar to what we're going to be dealing with now. When I was a leader of the ANC Youth League, having spent 5 years in the national leadership of the ANC Youth League, and strongly believed that time that there was a suppression of the struggle for economic freedom in our lifetime. I began in 2012, when I was still a member of the ANC, to publicly write that perhaps the struggle for economic freedom in our lifetime should exist as a separate organization outside of the ANC. And then in March of 2013, I wrote a perspective as to why a political party should be founded. And that perspective is found is within the founding manifesto of the economic freedom fighters. And everyone else who came after that perspective joined that perspective and believed as to what we got to do. And of course, we got to discontinue our association with the EFF for various reasons, which if some were to speak about publicly, will cause collateral damages to families, to households, to people, because it will also speak to character, and that's some of the things that are not worth speaking about publicly. So we will be going to all the people of South Africa to consult in all the regions of South Africa. In KwaZulu-Natal, we're going to be going to Mkanyaku, there to Zululand, to Ilembe, to Ugu, to eThekwini, Amajuba, Mzinyathi, Thukela, Mgungundlovu, to King Tetwayo, to Herugwala. In the Eastern Cape, we're going to start here in Jokabe region and go to Komani and Chris Hani. We're going to go to OR Tambo in Mtata, to Alfred Nzo in Mount Frere. We'll go to speak to the people of Amatole, one of the poorest districts in the Eastern Cape, which includes Mbashe, Ngusha, and Mnguma. We're going to speak to the people of Buffalo City. who are still having and confronted by lots of developmental challenges in Duncan village and all the areas. We're going to be speaking to the people of Sarah Bartman, one of the neglected areas of the Eastern Cape, municipalities of Blue Crane, with a small town called Cook House, of the people of Sandys River Valley, of Dlambe. We're going to be speaking to the people of Nelson Mandela Bay Municipality. In the Northwest Province, we're going to be consulting with the municipalities which are named after the doctors of Ngaka Mudiri Mulema, of Dr. Ruth Sukhomotsi Mompati, of Dr. K.K. Kaunda, of Bojanala. We'll be speaking to all the people of the Northern Cape in Francis Bard, in one of the most underdeveloped regions of Pixley Kaseme. We're going to be speaking to ZF Mkau, members to Namaka, to the communities of John Taole, Gaitsewe region, which is still facing a lot of super exploitation by those who are operating the mineral resources. Here in Gauteng province, we are going to be speaking to the people of Johannesburg, of course, with a dysfunctional municipality. We're going to be speaking to the people of Ekurhuleni and people of Sidibeng, of West Rand, of Tshwane. In the Free State, we're going to be speaking to the people of Ezile-Dabe, of Lejweleputswa, of Mangaung, of Mufutsanyana, of Tarip. All the three municipalities of Tarip are dysfunctional. We're going to be speaking to the people of the Western Cape, in Cape Metro, in Southern Cape, in Cape Winelands, in West Coast, in Central Karoo and Overberg. Itaba kaya bolabula na bantu bele Limpopo bele kaya. Tuhosi nkwati bolabula na tona na batikereke. Kusukusela le amusina kuyafika la Waterberg. Hinkwawo itaba kaya bolabula na bona ka Giyani ka Malamulele. Hinkwawo ka bona itaba kaya bolabula na bona hiku. Shana hi fane hi sungula political party ke na loko hi sungula hi fane hi yimela yini political party yaleyo. Hi leswi hi nga ta va kha hi endla swona through the length and breadth of South Africa. I'm not talking about all these areas because I read them elsewhere. There's no area in South Africa where I have not done political work. None. Not as a political tourist. As a person who went to do political work, I know and have been familiar with the dynamics of each and every district of this country and have done political work in all corners of this country. In Mpumalanga, I forgot to speak about Mpumalanga. I've worked in Mpumalanga for the longest time, from Nhlanzini, in Bushbuck Ridge, Tawachewu, Mbombela, and Nkomazi. It's 4 municipalities. And Kangala, we are going to have deeper consultation in the district that is named after Gert Shadrack Sibande. We're going to take up the spear that was left by Treasure Tabete in Mkondo and fight the battles of the people of Mkondo, of Dipalesing, of all the municipalities of Gert Sibande. So ladies and gentlemen, the people of South Africa, we are here today to announce a process that is going to speak to all the people of South Africa with the aim of establishing a political party if the people of South Africa say we should do so. We do not want to do that as a personal project or as a group of friends project. It must be a party that is owned by the people of South Africa. So that is basically what we had called this press conference to communicate, and we will be going to the ground to speak to the people. We'll be talking to young people via social media platforms and other media platforms. We'll provide platforms as to how the engagements are going to happen. We are going to next week announce the leadership core that is going to be responsible for the consultation process. And that leadership will be coming from all the provinces of South Africa, will be properly gender balanced, and not just a group of men or boys. It will be a combination of different skills and capacities so that we're able to listen much more attentively to all the people of South Africa. We thank you very much for having attended this otherwise intimate briefing on what we had to deal with. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Comrade Shivambu. Now we're going to be taking questions. All right, I'm going to start there at the back, and then I'm going to come forward. 2 questions per person. So,
You can take 25 hands.
5, ne? 5 per person, okay.
No, 5 questions. That's it. 5 hands.
5 hands, okay. All right, let me just give numbers. You'll be number 1 there at the back, number 2 with the green, number 3 the lady, number 4, and then number 5. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm Hawelo Magolero from UFM. Floyd, you know, it would seem that you've already decided to form the party when you are saying you are announcing an interim core. What about your credibility? I mean, you've embarked on this. I remember the famous "what is to be done" question when you said you were consulting South Africans for the formation of the EFF, which today you are trashing. And when you joined MK, you said that was the most solid decision. And when MK announced your demotion at the time and said this man embarked on a trip to Bushiri, you accepted that that was a reason, that you had gone there without the knowledge of the party and so on. Why must South Africans still believe you in light of what happened and not think that you are starting this thing because you do not want to serve as an ordinary member in a party? Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Sintebu. I'm with the SAPC. Mr. Shivambu, you're saying that you'll be embarking on a process to form a new political party if the people of South Africa give you that a go-ahead. Does that mean today you've parted ways with the MK party despite the fact that you're wearing the MKP cap? And secondly, what are you saying to those people who are saying mushrooming of black political parties, in fact, are just meant to divide the black vote? Aren't you seeing yourself as maybe part of those who are duped into forming political parties only to benefit the very same people that you are saying are the white monopoly capital, because those people seem to be getting funding from the very people that you accused as the white monopoly capital? I've got a number of questions, but I think I will stick to two.
Okay, sure.
Thank you very much. My name is Yanda Ngobo from Newsroom Africa. Mr. Shivambu, just to follow up on Deb, what's your current status in the MK party? Have you officially resigned? If so, when did that happen? And you say you're going to be traversing parts of the country and different regions. Where are you getting the money for this? How exactly are you going to be going about it? And then I just want to go back a little bit here. With regards to your Bushiri trip, I mean, you and I sat down 3 weeks ago where you basically said, that the leader of the MK party knew about this trip. Did you ever get a chance to sit down with him one-on-one to discuss this? You've already told us about intelligence reports. What did he say to you with regards to these intelligence reports? Because he seemed very upset during those Youth Day rallies. So maybe take us into your confidence, because it links to the credibility question that's been asked, because you had told me that you would never resign from the MK party. So please take us into your confidence in terms of that decision-making process. Yeah, I'll leave it there for now.
Here from African Times. I actually wanted to ask the same question that have you officially resigned? Oh, okay. Okay, Namazulu Moyo here from African Times. I actually wanted to ask the same question, that have you officially resigned from the MK party? And also, you're talking about organizing people that are going to be approaching citizens from next week. How long does it take? Why is it so fast? Have you been in this process for a long time already, or what? Thank you.
Willie Chiti Jones, ENCA. Mr. Shivambu, just two questions. How long will this consultative process take? And obviously, when you are going to people, this interim structure has to go under a banner. So what will be the name of this organization or structure that will be presented to the people during this consultative process? Thank you.
No, thank you very much for the questions. I have not resigned from Mkhonto Wesizwe, and I will never resign from Mkhonto Wesizwe. I'm a member of Mkhonto Wesizwe. So the constitution of Mkhonto Wesizwe says that members are not allowed to participate in activities and programs of political parties whose aims and objectives are opposed to the objectives of Mkhonto Wesizwe. If Mkhonto Wesizwe believes that going to listen to the people violates the constitution, it will tell me that listening to the people is a violation of the constitution. I will not resign. I said I will never resign from Mkhonto Wesizwe. And I still stick by the decision and the communication that I made that it was the best decision ever to join Mkhonto Wesizwe. And I spoke about it earlier that how would we replace an opportunity to learn in 6 months what we couldn't learn in 10 years? Like a practical experience which you can never read in any textbook. Like and I knew from the beginning, from day one, that here we're about to start a journey of deep learning and understanding just what are the dynamics of South Africa's politics, not from a textbook point of view, or from social media point of view, because there are political leaders who are guided by social media and think trending on social media makes them relevant. Win all elections in social media, but on the ground they're nothing. So that is basically what we're dealing with. We're not dividing black political parties in table. We are listening to people, and they will tell us if there is a need for a political party. So if majority, and genuinely so, if majority of the people say that there's no need to form a political party, we will humbly listen to that and take advice from that point of view. We have constituted a structure which is going to be listening, and we have had meetings to talk about that, and none of those meetings were secret. We don't do anything secret. It's open. Even tomorrow and Saturday, we're going to have a meeting represented by all leaders from the whole country. Some are members of the ANC, some are members of the EFF, some are members of the MK. And there's nothing wrong with people meeting to say we're going to listen to people. If their parties have got a problem with their members going to listen to people, then it's their own issue. So listening we're going to do. And if our organizations think that listening is a crime, it's wrong, then they will tell us that it's wrong in terms of those issues. Where am I going to get the money to travel? You know, Zianda, for my 6 months as Mkhonto Wesizwe national organizer and secretary general, I've never used the money of Mkhonto Wesizwe to travel from any place to another place. Not once. Even when we travel out of the country. Because I be able to persuade people to contribute for travel. And I purposefully did that. Like I never got to be dependent on Mkhonto Wesizwe on anything. And they did. I said that in the meeting, that I didn't come to suck blood of Mkhonto Wesizwe's resources. And that is, we will be able to move from point A to B. If we run out of petrol, we will check if we can be borrowed money to pour petrol. If there is no petrol, we'll hike. will stand on the street and say, this way we're going to Mthatha, and then go and speak to the people. That is what we're going to do. But moving from point A to B, we'll be able to move in terms of how the process is going to happen. So the leadership collective that is going to meet, which is not a secret, is going to determine the program of action, the length and the process of consultation, and then we will be able to deal with these issues. Now, comrades, this thing is simple. Don't do things that you don't believe in. And don't associate with projects that you don't believe in. Never ever sacrifice principle on the altar of political convenience. It doesn't matter what happens. It doesn't matter if that is going to break friendship and people that you have known the rest of your life, brotherhood and all of those things there. If principle is broken, you disassociate from it, and decisively so. But in doing so, sometimes you must be considerate of some of the personal circumstances of some of the people that you're dealing with. So that is basically it, that you must never associate with unprincipled positions. You must always stick to principles as to how you deal with politics. These things of, yeah, I'm just there because I'm there for salary purposes and for income. What do we do? Go to leaders of the ANC on the corners and say, but what is this thing that they're doing? They will tell you that that Ramaphosa is nonsense. That Ramaphosa is misleading us. But they won't tell him. Go to EFF people and they will tell you their own characterization of the leader of the organization and what is happening there. But they don't have the courage to tell him. Same in MK. And we can't have political culture like that. We must be able to, when you raise issues internally sharply, you don't have to go and gossip about it anyway. Now all the issues and concerns that I heard about MK, I raised internally. Even against all odds, there is an opportunity to raise an issue about wrongdoing, I would speak and clearly speak against the untouchables there. People who take drugs and tweet at night and insult us. And we'll confront them and say, what is this about? And that is basically how we deal with these issues in terms of what happens. We'll never tiptoe around anyone in terms of principles. Always protect principle on how we deal with these issues. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, comrade. Number 1, number 2, Sandile. Number 3, number 4, number 5. We're going to attend to everyone, don't worry. Thank you. Number 1.
Okay, I'm Kopano with MDN TV. Just 2 questions. What happened to unity under the MKP? And then my second question is that, Mr. Shivambu, do you feel like you were being used as a tool to destabilize the EFF? Thank you.
Yeah, Mzwane Lembeja from the SABC. Mr. Shivambu, you're talking about people stealing money, people doing all wrong things, and people looking to get you removed, writing all those reports. So who are those people? And then next one, yeah, let me just ask yours as well.
It's the question about whether he...
When last did you speak to former President Zuma? Does he know about this briefing? And given what you have said about him, you've actually, on the podium, indicated that you have deep respect for him because you say you have learned, I mean, what you learned in 6 months is something you couldn't have learned in 10 years. So clearly, some disrespect, some deep respect there. So have you taken him into confidence about this process? What did he say? And when last did you speak to him?
No, thank you very much. My name is Lungam Zangwe. I'm from the Mail and Guardian. Mzondile has basically taken the question that I wanted to ask you, but from what I'm hearing from MK people is that your trip to Bushiri was to basically get money to fund your own political party. Is there any truth to that? And on those intelligence report, who basically signed on them? And does President Zuma agree with those intelligence report? Thank you.
Good day, Nkosinathi Shazi from Power FM News. Mr. Shivambu, I just have one question. You've probably weighed up all the possible scenarios. Are you ready for the consequences on if the people say we do not want a political party, you reporting back to Umkhonto weSizwe? And my second question, if the people do want a political party, could this be the start of your new solo personal political journey? Now, of course, in that context, what I mean is when you were at the EFF, you're always seen as the number 2 of Umalema, despite being the brains of the EFF. You came into Umkhonto weSizwe, a national organizer, secretary general. You've described them as an ethnic party. You've been demoted to parliament as a member of parliament. So is this your moment, your defining moment in politics where you say, you know what, I'm ready to do this alone. I'm ready to go at it despite my circumstances. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. Is it on? Good afternoon. My name is Sisanda Mbolekwa from the Sunday Times. Mr. Shivambu, for clarity, the decision to move from the EFF to the MK party, you called it the best and the sound or solid decision. I'm asking you if you do not regret that moment, reflecting upon where we are today. And secondly, you say that you're going to retain your membership of Umkhonto weSizwe party. Can we reasonably expect South Africans and the electorate to take the MK party seriously as a political vehicle when it's been consistently characterized by chaos and fiefdom around President Zuma? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I thought I had responded to the question. I don't regret leaving the EFF. It's the best decision I ever took in my political life. Because we're legitimating rubbish there. And there was no way that you could dedicate your intellectual muscles and work. And in practice, you realize that this thing which we said we are standing for is not principle. Check the conduct of EFF in government and what gets to legitimate such. That was the best decision ever. And everyone that we spoke to, this like they, like they were to criminalize Mbu saying, hey, I will never trust a person who knew that the deputy president is leaving. And then they isolate Mbu saying on the basis that he knew that I'm leaving. It's not only Mbu saying it, those comrades knew, we discussed it, and we reached the same conclusion that we're not being fair to society if we say that this comrade can lead this country. All of us agreed with the people who are leading EFF now. That is basically, and that is the reality of the situation. The people who are leading EFF, all of us were unanimous. And then the issue was, what do we do? If I wanted to destabilize, someone is asking, were you sponsored to destabilize the EFF? If I wanted to destabilize the EFF, I could have started a faction inside and caused interactions and this. Well, then the decision was, like, let me not destabilize the EFF, let me leave. I never spoke about the EFF anyway. And also in respect of the responsibilities that I had, that if I was national organizer or secretary general and then speak about the EFF, it was going to be confused as if I'm speaking on those platforms on behalf of the organization. In terms of how we got to deal with those, part of, although there were dynamics, like part of the things which I used to appreciate about the EFF was that I I didn't sit in general or national organizer or anything. Not once did I go and speak to President Zuma and say, please don't remove me as SG, here I'm the best and everything is there. I think we all agree that if you were to isolate black people, whether they come from the black consciousness, political view, or Pan-Africanist, or economic freedom in our lifetime, or charterist, or those who believe in MK and all other organizations, if you were to isolate black people and say just what do we need as the top priority issues for black people that have to be done in this country, we're going to come out with the same things. The people of South Africa, in terms of aspirations and interests, are not divided. The people of South Africa need jobs. They need stable and healthy environments. They need a society that is free of crime and corruption. They want land. They need to live. They want to have access to quality education. The people of black people are not divided in terms of aspirations. But for narrow political purposes, we get to be divided. That is why we will be going to the people to ask, do we form a political party? If the advice is no, we will be able to accept that guidance in terms of what happens. So I don't need any position of responsibility to survive in life or to have a voice, by the way. I don't need to be a president or secretary general to have a voice. Actually, my voice is much more clearer when I speak without any position of responsibility. So possibly most of you have never heard me speak openly about many issues because I respected the positions that I have. As a deputy president, I couldn't say certain things. As a national organizer, I couldn't say certain things. As a secretary general, I could say certain things, but now I can make open observations about just what is happening. Perhaps even without a position, my voice will be much more amplified in terms of how we push for the agenda of the return of our land. I last spoke to President Zuma on the day when we had a press conference in Durban, and I said to him, thank you very much, Comrade President, for having given me the opportunity to lead and for entrusting me with the responsibility to be national organizer and Secretary General. I really appreciate And then the other thing I said was that if this deployment to Parliament, I think for stability of the organization, I can still add value to the organization even as an ordinary member of the National High Command and then contribute to its growth. That is what I said to the last conversation which we had with President Zuma. I did explain the issue and reminded President Zuma of the conversations on what ended up with the Malawi trip. And throughout my explanation and reminding him of our conversation in Namibia, he agreed to that. He says, "Ngakumbula." When the DSG sitting next to me was even saying, wrote me a note that you are safe, they won't do anything to you. Then I was asked to leave the meeting, and then the meeting remained there. And then they said, I don't believe anything that he said. He wants to take over the organization. Actually, we must go and reverse all the decisions that he has taken. Let's disband all the structures. Let's reverse everything, including the constitution. I said, people can do whatever they want to do. We played our part. If the conviction is that what we're doing is wrong, it's okay. Like, we move on in terms of how we deal with these issues. There is no political party which is going to be funded from Malawi. Like, there is no political party that is going to be funded by Bushiri. We are going to listen to the people and will get guidance from the people as to how do we move forward. I'm not, this comrade who asked the question here left. I'm not starting any solo project. We must stop these things that political parties are personal project, like a music band, Brenda Fassie and the Black Dudes. That if Brenda Fassie is not there, the Black Dudes can't operate. A political party can't have that character. But you have got political organizations in this country which are like Brenda Fassie and the Black Dudes. Where if Brenda Fassie is not there, the Black Dudes are not there. We can't have an organization like that. There must be an organization that exists in every corner of South Africa, whether there is a Floyd or no Floyd, or whoever is there must be the expression of the collective ideals of the political party. That is basically how we dealing with all of those issues. I think we can take the last round of questions. I don't want to talk about that. Yeah. I don't want to talk about that. Maybe when we do a one-to-one interview, I'll tip you. Mzandile, me and you are together. That's the end. Sure.
Thank you, Comrade Shivambu. Another round. We'll go one. And then 2, 3, 4. There at the back, Mr. Afro. 5, and then we'll go with you, and then you. Thank you. Okay, we go. We gave you a chance now. Okay, you the last one. Thank you.
Thank you. Molweni nonke, Kamalam Gunziki Mazwai from the Moya podcast. So, Floyd, you did say that you don't want to be surrounded by yes men, right? And I want to find out that a lot of people were complaining about it being difficult to work with you on a personal level. And I want to know which part you hold yourself accountable to, and if you feel as if there is some personality dynamics that you need to work on yourself, perhaps to be a better leader, to be able to connect with people, or you think it's just all rubbish. And then abantu bafuna ukwazi uba uDudu ebekuthukela ntoni that night. Enkosi.
Good day, it's Wikanyo MDN TV. Mr. Floyd Shibam, I only have one question for you because my other colleague have already raised other question. Given the reports of your marginalization within the MKP on the basis of ethnicity, do you believe the party operates with the tribalist tendencies? And with your experience, can you confirm or dispel the notion that MKP is fundamentally tribalist in character?
You can talk.
Hi, I'm Amanda Koza from News 24. Mr. Shivambu, I just wanted to know what will happen in the event that MK comes out later saying that you're expelled, if they decide to expel you this afternoon, having said everything that you've said.
Thank you. It's Corinda from Kaya 959. I'd just like to confirm, would this briefing be the first time that other members of MKP are hearing about your plans to try and launch another party, including the former president? And then, sir, you say you won't resign, but you're looking to launch another political party. So if that works, then how would it add up? Would you be then campaigning for both parties? Thank you.
Okay, Tiseto Malau from PEM News. Mr. Floyd, Julius Malema once said that Jacob Zuma uses people. The only person that he never uses is his daughter. Do you think that's how the man operates? And then the second one, Tutuzile once accused you of stealing, map out your innocence on Twitter. Okay, mismanaging funds, sorry. Mismanaging funds. Sorry, mismanaging funds, sorry. And then, okay, the last question is that you once made claims that you can easily mobilize members of the EFF to join you. And now you are saying that you're going to consult if you can start a political party from South Africans. If they say that you can start a political party, do you think those leaders and members will join you in that party? Thank you.
It's you. The lady with the, yeah.
All right, my name is Tando Mayeko and I'm from the Business Day. Mr. Shivambu, just please explain the banners behind you. I think you forgot to explain the name of this organization. What is it? Is it an NGO? Is it a church? What is it? And then what's this? Just please also kindly explain who is funding this organization. And then is MK still credible? And then just going back on your accusations of an intelligence report that was used against you by the MK national officials. Are you surprised that an intelligence report was used, considering that the State Capture Commission or the Zondo Commission found that former President Jacob Zuma used to use intelligence reports against his political defectors? Thanks.
Okay. Cindy Sontlabati from the Heartland Network. Mr. Floyd, you've characterized your session, your time now moving forward. And I would greatly like to know, in terms of the perspective of the vision of the South Africa that you dream of, maybe if you can give us the ultimate end goal that this is the vision I have, or the vision we have as a collective that you are part of now, in terms of what is the South Africa that you are looking towards. Thank you.
Mr. Shivambu, Doreen Mukhulu here. Mr. Shivambu, Doreen Mukhulu here from Scholar Africa. I just want to find out, you're speaking about fake intelligence. I want to find out, were there any power dynamics within the party, in the MK, that to a point that they had to make the fake intelligence to push you out?
It's a follow-up. Floyd, I asked about the issue of credibility. Look, you on your own admission that having left the EFF, anyone that was perceived to be loyal to you, you believe that they were victimized. Are you still willing to now have more careers being destroyed by joining a new entity that you are forming? Should South Africans still regard you as a credible voice when you have served 11 years in an organization and now you are calling it a personal fiefdom? Where was the foresight then? As an educated man, shouldn't you have figured this out much earlier? And the same attitude would be adopted in case of MK, because you've been there for literally 10 months. That then raises the question of your own personal judgment, that you should have foresaw that there's trouble there, that Mr. Zuma is quite elderly and gullible, as you put it. So it speaks to your own personal judgment. Thanks.
I think that is your opinion. Let's give it to you. It's your own opinion. Like, it's not a question. Like, really, and we can't help you. And different people will have different perspectives in terms of what happens. I do you know, Ntsiki, I think in conducting political work, like I think those that we have worked with before, the difficulty that they have is when we have got leadership responsibilities. One, I refuse to have private meetings or private engagements. So there is a lady from Pumalanga who, I think it's called Mary or something like that. So the first meeting I attended of MK, there was a decision, I didn't even know who she is. There was a decision to expel her, and then another meeting. And actually, in the first meeting, I even said that, please don't expel comrades, it's too early, let us go and engage with them. And it's in the minutes of MK that said, don't expel her, further engagements and all of those things. Then another decision was taken, but some of the decisions had to be written and signed by me, even when you have expressed a different view inside. Then she asked for a private meeting to brief me. Then I said, I can't do that. And I said it actually in the national officials meeting that majority of times, comrades would want to meet you privately and be buddy-buddy so that they are protected when they do wrong things in the organization. And that is the conduct that we got to deal with. You know, I'm very close to Mzobe. We always say that we've known each other for more than 20 years, but he was head of presidency. When I was doing wrong things, I'll write him a letter that you're not doing your work properly as head of presidency. And wrote it in an organizational report that, yes, and he will also give me criticisms as well that, hey, you're too closed up and all of those things, but that is how organizations are run. You can't run it through friendship in terms of how you then get to conduct yourselves. But if there are other issues, we can be able to listen to that. MK is not tribalist. It's not a tribalist organization. There's no tribalism. I never got to encounter tribalism. But I know there are people who mischaracterize the organization because also it was still at its formative stages. So there are people who truly believe that it's an organization to liberate Zulu-speaking people. So there will be those who will say that. And they will say that to the president. And there are those who believed that, but it's not the overall character of MK. These extremely brilliant comrades and activists that are in Mkhonto weSizwe, who understand politics properly, organizing, mobilization, and there's never been a problem of tribalism which can be elevated. I know there was an incident now of Teniso, brilliant young man who is the leader of the MK Youth League, made a legitimate, honest, innocent mistake about referring to Tsonga-speaking people as Shangan and everything else. They like it. For some people it lands well, for some people it doesn't land well. But I think a substantial number take it derogatory, as a derogatory reference. But he didn't mean bad, like he was not doing it in a vindictive and tribalist way. I know him that Teniso is a proper comrade who has got a bright future in the politics of South Africa. So there's no tribalism in the organization. I don't agree with the analysis of Julius about President Zuma. I don't. I've got to interact with him and all of those other things. But I know there are times where I think former president or former secretary general who worked with him for the longest time in the ANC, Halima Motlanthe, I think when he did an interview with Sizwe, he said that the limitation with President Zuma is that sometimes he can be persuaded about an issue outside of organizational structures and want to take a decision based on what was the persuasion outside of organizational structures. So that becomes a dilemma for any, particularly as a Secretary General, because once you have taken resolutions collectively, your expectation is that you must collectively communicate and defend those resolutions. And that time he has now reconsidered the decisions that were taken before, and then it then becomes difficult to move forward in terms of. I think that observation, which I share, was already communicated by former SG of the ANC, Halima Mutlante, when President Zuma was in office. So that dynamic is a limitation generally, that he meets way too many people. And in the process, sometimes he meets people and then he says, and then those people interpret that as if he agreed to whatever they were saying. And that is the dynamic. But I don't agree at all that he uses people. He is trusted by the people of KwaZulu-Natal and by the people of South Africa. The journey we're building was to expand the message of what he stands for. And he is not opportunist in terms of how he communicates political principle. Like even in closed spaces, there could be I'll give you an example, for instance, that the Moroccan embassy wanted to buy the position of MK to say that MK should support Morocco's operation over Western Sahara. And then there are those closer to him who visited Morocco, were promised money, and then they came back and said, MK must agree with Morocco's operation of Western Sahara. Then when he realizes that they won't understand this, then he called me into the meeting. Then said to the Moroccan ambassador and political secretary that we are not going to agree with you. If we are going to have engagements with the Kingdom of Morocco, we must talk to the SADR here and the Polisario Front, which is the liberation movement fighting for the liberation of Western Sahara. And then we agreed on that principled positions. I wrote a letter on the 27th of March to the Polisario Front to say that the president will engage with you before he engages with Morocco, because it's now 50 years since the operation got to happen over Western Sahara by Morocco. And you saw what happened. Immediately we were suspended. What is that? Not suspended, that thing of redeployed. Then the Moroccan government issued a statement which is undersigned by Mkhonto Wesizwe to say that Mkhonto Wesizwe supports its operation over Western Sahara. No meeting to discuss that, no national high command, no officials. Someone just says, and the people who did that, it's those who went to Morocco. Like, that is basically the whole thing. Like, there's no, and in the official record, in the minutes of the National High Command, is that President Zuma is going to mediate a discussion between Western Sahara Liberation Forces and Morocco to find a settlement. It has been going in for a very long time. But after, immediately we leave, because they couldn't do that in our presence, obviously. They couldn't. Then they saw an opportunity that, yeah, now we're going to maybe press that jukebox or to sing for us. And then and you can see that statement, which is issued in the name of MK, is written by the Moroccan embassy here in South Africa, to impose a position on MK on the basis that there will be money exchanges. And that is what happens. Also, even with this, you remember when we did a press conference, Muslim Judicial Council. So part of these scoundrels, they go to speak to the Muslim Judicial Council and say, no, please go and speak to President Zuma, say to him that he must remove the SG, and that is the only basis he will give money. And then they go there and they are complaining. They say in that church of Shepherd Bushiri, there is 80 plus flags there. There's a flag of Israel as part of the flags there. I didn't even see the flag myself. They say no, because he was in a church where there's a flag of Israel. It means he's against Israel. No, it's against Palestine. And that is going to cause us problems. So you must expel him so that we can give him Mkhonto Wesizwe money. That is, so there is transactional whole issues. I wouldn't make reference to Zondo, the judge. Like, I have no respect for Zondo, zero. And he actually made me to have much more deeper respect for President Zuma. Like, I have no respect for that nonsense of state capture, inquiry nonsense that I've got no regard, none whatsoever of those. It can't be my point of reference on anything. Like, even the whole decision to get President Zuma arrested was absolute rubbish. Even that time as a deputy president of the EFF, I condemned that. I took international interviews and wrote articles publicly to condemn what Zondo did in terms of arresting of President Zuma. I will never make reference to that as a basis of anything else. He was used by the capitalist establishment to, he was not a judge, he was just an instrument of capitalism and for wrong purposes in terms of what happens. Funding for termination of membership, so be it. It's not the first time. Like, my membership of the ANC, I was not even expelled in the ANC, I was suspended. And I left. You know, this thing of political parties thinking that people are desperate for their membership, it must come to an end. And that people must beg for membership. If anything, political parties must be honored that they've got members and respect them. Not that you must be begging for membership of a political organization. I left the ANC when it was above 63% in parliament and control of all provinces, was possibly the only employer. Had influence and lots of friends and people that I knew throughout my life left. I left the ANC voluntarily when it had power. Why would I be perturbed about being expelled by Mkondo who doesn't have power? Like, what will be like? That is the issue. I don't beg membership of political organizations. I deal with these issues differently. You know, I used to say all the time to the DSG of Mkondo Sizwe that let's do our work. People can say whatever they want to say, they can scream and everything else. We take decisions, we implement, we go towards that are having by-elections. Before we went towards, the MK never used to win by-elections. We used to go towards to preside over volunteers, without photos, without cameras, and pay attention to every little detail, and then we started to win wards. And then some people from parliament, they go a day before elections and they take photos there and say, hey, we've delivered the ward. After we have delivered it, Richmond we delivered. What goes out delivered? Mandeni we delivered. Like, and we do the work, and 3 months before the by-elections happens, we go there every week. And as we can't be entertaining who says what and everything else. I actually even told one of the provincial coordinators who said, hey, SJ, there are people who are talking about you here. They say you must be removed. I said, oh, man, don't ever send me such a message. Leave those things. If there's a decision to remove me, they will take it, but I'm not going to be sitting down and worried about removal and everything else. That now we take decisions and then we implement what is mandated by the collective and then build an organization on what should happen. Ladies and gentlemen, the people of South Africa, thank you very much for having listened to us speak for a very long time. We will be visiting all parts of South Africa. Next week, we're going to be announcing the leadership structure that is going to be guiding the listening process, so that we then also will be announcing just where are we going to be visiting for community engagement and interactions with our people. That is how we get to be here. Thank you very much. We are availing ourselves to be at service. We are servants of the people who want to listen. If the guidance is that we must form a political party, we are going to do it decisively and lead our people towards prosperity and total emancipation. Thank you very much. Sabong.